Hey everyone, I'm constantly getting asked which model of the Shadow Systems I prefer. So I thought I would go ahead and do a video and explain my thoughts and my opinions on Shadow Systems, which model I like, and why I prefer Shadow Systems over Glocks. Before we get started, all of these guns are unloaded. There are a few magazines out on the table. There's no ammo in those magazines. There's no ammo anywhere near me. So to answer the primary question, which Shadow Systems do I like best? I definitely prefer the MR920P or the Glock 19 sized frames better than anything else. Main reason being the shorter grip works better for my hand size. It forces me to maintain a more consistent grip. Whereas with the XR or the Glock 45, the XR 920 or the Glock 45 sized frame, it's a little bit longer. And if I'm not careful, my grip can get a little bit sloppy. So I definitely prefer the Glock 19 or the MR920 size pistol better. They also conceal better for me. Ironically, they even conceal better than the Glock 43X or the CR920 sized pistol. A lot of that has to do with the length of barrel. The longer barrel on the MR920P just works better with my dad bod, and it's a little bit easier to conceal. So a lot of people ask why I'm transitioning from Glocks to Shadow Systems. I've got nothing against Glocks. I love Glocks. I've carried them for years. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to find a platform that I didn't feel the need to upgrade straight out of the box. I've got no issues with my Glocks. They've been flawless for me, as have the Shadow Systems, but I just wanted to do something different. One of the issues I had is with all my Glocks, I upgrade the sights. All of the sights on stock Glocks are not very good in my opinion. I think that's kind of a common consensus. Everyone hates the stock Glocks, so all of my Glocks have aftermarket sights. I've also put aftermarket triggers on all of my Glocks. Pretty much all of them have Overwatch Precision tack triggers. I do have an Apex trigger on my Glock 45. I've got a Johnny Glocks trigger that I ran for a brief period of time. Did not care for that trigger at all. And one of my other guns has a Zev Fulcrum trigger, but for the most part, all of my Glocks have Overwatch Precision tack triggers. The other issue that I have with Glocks is the stippling. It just does not work for me. My hands tend to sweat a little bit when I shoot, and it just gets a little too slippery for me, so I end up putting Talon grips on all of my Glocks. I've recently started doing silicone carbide instead of Talon grips, and that seems to work out much better for me. The other issue that I have with Glocks are the MOS plates. They're pretty much garbage. I've gone through a number of aftermarket plates, and I've been okay with them. I'm happy with them, but I'm not super ecstatic about having to buy aftermarket plates for my Glocks. Whereas the Shadow Systems, the mounting system is, in my opinion, much better. The mounting screws provided by Shadow Systems are significantly deeper and beefier in width. And I think it just provides a much stronger mounting system. Since I've started using the Shadow Systems, I've had no issues with shearing the screws or optics coming loose, which has been an ongoing problem for some of the Glock mounts that I've had. The main reason that I've switched from Glocks to Shadow Systems is, like I said, on my Glocks, I update the sights, I replace the trigger, I have to either have the slide milled or I have to get an aftermarket plate for the MOS system. And by the time I've done all that and addressed the stippling issue also, by the time I've done all that, I've put as much money into it as I would if I had just bought a Shadow Systems in the first place. One of the things I love about Shadow Systems is all of my Shadow Systems are 100% stock. I don't have to upgrade anything. I don't have to replace any parts. I don't have any issues with it whatsoever. Yes, you're paying quite a bit more for a Shadow Systems versus a Glock, but like I said, by the time I've done all my upgrades, I've got at least as much, if not more, into a Glock versus the Shadow Systems. And I can honestly say that my Shadow Systems are 100% stock, if that really matters. A lot of people also complain about reliability issues or the break-in period with a Shadow Systems. As I've documented in a few of my past videos, I did have 1 or 2 issues with the MR920. I had 1 issue during break-in with the CR920, and I don't recall having any issues at all with the XR920. In my opinion, every gun has a break-in period, whether the manufacturer says so or not. Every gun needs to have several hundred rounds put through it before I'm willing to carry it. Since the break-in period, I've had no issues with any of my Shadow Systems pistols. So for me, the break-in period really doesn't matter. With my Shadow Systems, I've had no issues whatsoever with the guns after those break-in periods. So the other question that I constantly get asked is which compensator I prefer, the standard comp on the MR920P or the Radian Ramjet and Afterburner. Honestly, I haven't done any kind of scientific testing, for lack of a better term, but just subjectively, I think I prefer the MR920P's compensator better than the Radian Ramjet and Afterburner. To me, it seems to have a little bit less recoil. Again, I don't have any definitive testing to base that on. It's just my subjective opinion, but the MR920P seems to shoot better and flatter for me.